Hello, Susan Marie Almquist here. I'm one of three instructors that you're going to have in a brand new course that's starting. I got to show you the graphic. How to be a networking ninja. Now I know the graphic and the syllabus lives inside of our course there inside of the school community, but I just had to show it off. And I'm really excited about this topic. Here's our description. In this course, we're going to explore how to be a ninja of intentionality within the four areas of networking. We'll explore natural connections, communities or groups, civic or volunteer, and online. So together, we'll assess the pros and cons of each area and how to be equipped to succeed regardless of the situation. The goal is that thereafter we each feel newly emboldened to make networking matter more. Four different chapters. Today, we're going to start with the natural flow, crafting genuine connections. Next week, we're going to move on to power circles, tapping into communities and groups. The week thereafter, karma kicks, grow your networking by giving back. And lastly, digital dojo, mastering online networking. And I wanted to point out that we do this the weeks of holidays. Pay attention always to the calendar because sometimes there's some changes. And then we do have a in the syllabus kind of a study guide. It's a thought-provoking homework type sheet, and it always talks about the who, why, what of whatever the topic is. So we're going to ask you to keep that in mind today as we embark on the chapter of the natural flow, crafting genuine conversations and connections, because it just makes sense to start kind of inside, internal. That's how I think of it. It's like the people closest to us, and sometimes it can be the hardest or the most awkward to think of networking in this context. So we had a couple of books that we were inspired by for today. One was Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi, one of my favorite ones on kind of this internal type networking. And another one is Hanging Out for a Living by Mark Herdering. And here's what I'm going to share with you. I shared on a couple of things from that. The first of which is to consider, so I've got a baker's dozen here, 13 points to share with you between myself, my amazing husband Curtis, and another guest trainer, Cheryl Cage, that trained on the full masterclass today. Number one, networking is a lifestyle. So this really has to do with just weaving it into your daily life. Like Keith Ferrazzi talks a lot about pinging people. I love that idea. Like it could just be like a little ping, like, how are you doing? Or a little Facebook happy birthday. Like weave those kinds of things into your daily life. And also, why not weave in things into your daily life that have to do with just like having fun, he likes to have dinner parties. We live in Oregon, so we like to take people to wineries. And it's a great way to just be with the people closest to you and have that chance to build the relationships that lead to networking. Number two, authenticity matters. And it really does when you're building relationships. And I'll share an example that really just came to light for me in the past 24 hours. I had a gentleman knock on my door as an EXP realtor, and he was quite enthusiastic. And I had no interest in selling my house, but I just had an interest in building a relationship with him. And we had a great conversation. And because of that, he gave me his business card and we just stayed in touch. To some extent. And I kind of dropped the ball on following up. I did help him connect with a photographer because I thought he really needed a fresh headshot on his business card. And so he made that happen. And he remembered me. He saw that I had published a book. And last night I was at my exercise class. And so I was dressed for working out and he was there. He was dressed good because he had a Toastmasters competition. And he came up to me and I just thought there was something about that authentic connection early on that had him remember me, even in a totally different context. And now we've re-engaged for who knows what purposes of networking. All right, that was authenticity. Number three, the importance of following up, which I didn't do that well with that realtor, but it is so essential, especially with the people closest to us. Our chief brand officer, actually at MyCore, Kenya Adams, who's an amazing phenom, I was sharing recently about her trends that she was predicting for the new year. And one of them had to do with what she was calling holiday touch points, which is not unlike the pinging idea, actually, but that the holidays give us a unique way in which to ping people, because you can say, what are you doing for the holidays? Or you could just say happy holidays, or what are your plans for the new year? Like you can look back over the whole previous year and look for the people that you want to re-engage with, but just do it now for like a holiday touch point. In fact, once you hear this idea, your wheels are going to probably start turning like mine did. And now I just keep thinking of people that I'm going to ping right now around the holidays. Number four, build your personal brand. Now, this doesn't have to be like you're going to hold yourself out as an influencer type thing. This is just meaning own who you are. And if you're going to show up in the world as somebody who likes to fix cars and always speak to that, or you're somebody who likes to bake, or you're a grandparent, or whatever that is, to just like be you and think of it like a brand. Like people will be attracted to you because of that. For me, having published my book a year ago has really given me a reason to connect, like I was saying happened with that realtor, with people, and kind of be a stand for who I am and lead into conversations that way. All right. Next up is the long game. Uh, and this is because I want to point out that networking is not a fast thing, that you want to think about it like it's a long game, because relationships aren't necessarily fast. You want to look to be building that relationship long term. And one of the greatest ways to do that is to, after you meet somebody, send them a personal note, like a handwritten note. I mean, I do also use digital options, and sometimes I just do that and send a digital card. But whenever possible, something handwritten makes such a difference. So these are just some of the things that we talked about today with respect to cultivating that inner circle. Curtis talked about the power of relationships and how being generous and leveraging one another's interests. He shared an example of a colleague he had met who was looking for a family member's history in the military, and he knew that Curtis had an interest in that, and that Curtis had done some of his own research in that arena, and he had made a phone call to Curtis, and Curtis spent quite a bit of time actually helping this gentleman with no business intention whatsoever, even though they both have businesses and there's ways to network. So this idea of like being generous and finding ways to leverage the things that you do that might not have anything to do with the business or your business, but that would contribute to that other person, can really go a long way to building the relationship and really helping people kind of connect the dots, like building that bridge. One of the things Curtis talked about too is that we've been able to make the acquaintance of our local mayor. And it's a great way to network, to make introductions, kind of build that bridge to other people, by it's like, let me introduce you to the mayor, just so that you can, for whatever that might bring, right? And uh, also talking about expanding your circle. So it comes to mind to me that anytime you have to move, like physically move yourself and your family, maybe, or even your business, it's going to force you to be in a new circle of people. And why not? That's like an opportunity. Really, our neighbors are another opportunity to network, right? To open yourself up to building those relationships. Our third speaker, coming up on the close of our Baker's Dozen, our 13 points. Cheryl Cage was on. She's just an amazing natural networking ninja. And when she talks, she brings such passion. And one of the things we talked about is how effective that can be, and especially with the people nearest to us. I think about often our own kids. Curtis and I were a beautiful blended family of 6 kids, and we don't want to network with our kids, but we just want to be us enough so that, when it's right, when it makes sense, that it attracts the people, even from among our kids, that it might make sense to bring into our like work world, so to speak. And sometimes the passion is what's going to bring people in, whether it's your kids or at an event. Cheryl talked about there's hot, warm, and cold. Those are the 3 types of contacts. And certainly the ones closest to us usually end up being the hottest, right? That's what we're starting with today. She talked about when you go to events, being prepared. And she talked about what was in her purse when she go to an event, and having business cards or whatever other kinds of material you might have that you'd want to like be prepared. Sometimes a lot of people just feel prepared with their phone, and that can work. You can take a picture of somebody's business card, but just this idea of being prepared can really make a difference. She shared a tip. This is her phraseology, her 4 pieces of her phraseology that she passes on to as a gift to you in networking. And she likes to teach people to say, I am, I help, so that by. I am, I help, so that by. So let's say, for example, you're a realtor. You might say, somebody asks you what you do. I'm a realtor. I help home seekers so that they could find their dream home. By maybe the unique ways in which you interact in the community with your philanthropy, right? Something like that. So that phraseology can work for any of you, by the way, and whatever your business or industry might be. And the last thing that Cheryl shared with us was to go in with a goal if you go to an event. like at least meeting 2 people she talked about. And I wanted to wrap up with these last 2 thoughts. And one is to have a goal with whatever it is with respect to the networking, the people closest to you, whether it is maybe a certain number of pings a day or follow-ups per day. Maybe it's a certain number of people you want to meet for coffee or wine per week, or a number of events per month. That's part of the intentionality, is to actually have goals for yourself around that. And then lastly, number 13 is to engage in mentorship. And really, this academy that we're in, I think, is the best way to have that, because they say iron sharpens iron, right? We're here so that we can grow and become better together. And by engaging in this community, it's like you've got mentors, you've got the instructors that are pouring into you, and you've got one another engaging with the material. So by doing that, it just helps you level up. I'm excited to have you back next week when we talk about our circles of influence and more about groups and networking in groups, and starting to take it a little more externally. Excited to be here with you today. Bye for now.